We are in our third year of the 2020s, and even through a rough start of the decade, so many movies have come out, and we have to talk about them. I'm Tanner.
And I'm Damon, and we are here to give you our top 10 best movies of the 2020s so far, based off all of our own general biases, because why not? Now let's get this thing going, and if it wasn't obvious enough, expect some spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Number 10.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Don't Look Up. When astronomers Kate and Randall, played by Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, discover a comet the size of Mount Everest heading towards Earth, they embark on a media tour. It takes them from an office of a Trump-like president to the airwaves of a morning talk show. The problem? No one cares. Instead of listening to the warning, society creates a meme out of Kate while having hard eyes over Randall. With only 6 months left to live, the political figures continue to silence the astronomers by creating a movement to do not look up into the sky and see the comet that is getting ever so close, as it doesn't help that the public hears more about the breakup of A-list celebrities Riley and DJ Cello, played by Ariana Grande, and Kid Cudi. With no one listening to their end of the plea, Kate and Randall use Riley's fame and angelic voice to gracefully tell the world to get their heads out of their asses.
If Ariana Grande sang to me, saying "get your head out of your ass," already done, you know.
I mean, I probably wouldn't listen to Ariana Grande though. I mean, I'm Team Pete all day.
He's pro Pete here. Do you find this movie is basically like a metaphor to like our current life today? Like, my favorite thing about this movie was the fact that this president, Meryl Streep, played an amazing, like, obnoxious, like, shitty president. You can bleep that out.
Fine.
Obnoxious, like, president. Just seeing like her create a movement to tell just citizens, hey, you know, these people are saying there's a meteor gonna kill us in like 6 months. How about you guys just don't look up and that'll fix the problems, you know?
Yeah, that, like, Meryl Streep, I just want to touch on her performance first. Like you were saying, it was phenomenal, but I'll tell you this, in the post-credit scene, she had it coming. She deserved to be eaten by that monster on that other planet. And I find also, it's like you said, it's like that metaphor to climate change, because especially when it comes to climate change, so many generations have been saying, oh, leave this on the next generation, let's leave this on the next generation, and put it to the side, and eventually we're reaching the point where there's no return. And it goes to show about how politicians, especially in this modern day world, have somewhat of an arrogance and an inability to do things to make the world a better place and look more for their self-interests, in my opinion.
You were so right. Another thing too is that talk show in the movie. They go on that talk show so many times, and you even see in parts where it's like, hey, don't talk about that. That's a bad discussion. Let's talk about something more like Randall, you looking good today. Like, you know.
Number 9.
Coming in at number 9 is Scream 2022, or Scream 5. It's been over a decade since the last Scream movie, and with the passing of the franchise's writer and director Wes Craven, we thought we'd seen the last of it, but Ghostface is back alongside an all-new batch of potential victims linked to the Woodsboro's bloody past, like Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega, who breaks the tradition of each movie's opening murder scene by surviving the killer's gruesome attack. So this results in Tara's half-sister Sam, who's also like the daughter of the original movie's killer, and her boyfriend Richie, who come to Woodsboro to help Tara and her friends find out who the killer is. And it can't be a Scream movie sequel without the return of the original final girl herself, Sidney Prescott, and other returning characters like former Deputy Dewey, Gale Weathers, and more. So my favorite thing personally about this movie is it does a whole loop all the way back to the original Scream 1 movie. Right at the very end, you can see it all tied together, where it goes back into the original murder house of Scream 1, and this is where everything just lays out, you know?
Yeah, like, I'm not really the biggest horror movie person, but would you say that you found in this movie is a bit more satisfying, seeing a bit of a different spin on it compared to most other horror movies?
It was a risky movie to do because you don't have Wes Craven there anymore to, like, you know, that's his masterpiece. So for someone else to come in and just be like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And I think Jenna Ortega really kind of did steal the show, and it did create a huge future for her in the horror franchise. Because I mean, you look at her in Wednesday now, like she's becoming like an icon.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega, I'm going to be honest, I think she's just casted just to creep out people.
It's that face. Also,
And the relaxed muscles, like,
my favorite thing too about the Scream movie is just like the craziness of the murdering. Like you have Ghostface kill a mother and her son in broad daylight, and it's just like, okay, how does someone get away with that?
yeah, that is creepy if someone gets away with that. In real life, if that happens, the cops are coming.
Yeah, really. It's just funny. The mom was a cop, so the
ironic.
sheriff.
That's
Yeah,
what Palpatine
Ghostface
would
killed
say.
the sheriff. I like how the killer got revealed, and spoiler alert, you're gonna find out who the killer is. Spoiler alert. When they're all back in the original Scream 1 house, you have one of the side characters that's just like freaking out, like, oh my god, this guy's dead, and just the killer just randomly comes out like, I know, boom, like a millisecond just to reveal the killer, and you're like, that's it? What the hell? It was good. It worked out. It was cool. It was chill.
At least it worked out because I have my opinions, let's just say, on a lot of horror movies like Michael Myers and all that. Somehow he never dies, even though people beat him with like a baseball bat. He gets shot with a gun 10, 20 times.
Just a flesh wound.
But at least the killer dies, at least in this
Yeah.
one. Or
Though,
gets punishment.
My one problem with Scream 5 would probably be the fact that these side characters, you don't get a good connection with them. You don't really get to know who they are. You just get to see them kind of momentarily, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, they're dead. All right, cool. On to the next, But I think what steals the show is that you have these characters now that are legacy characters that have a connection to the past movies, and it's going to create a really good future. Like Scream 6 is coming up very soon, and it's already like very highly anticipated right now.
What kind of plot lines would you like to see in Scream 6, just off the top of your head?
I want to see a killer actually not die at the end. Every Scream is always like, when they do the reveal, it's like, I'm the killer because of this. I want to make my own ending. And they die like every other ending. It's the same thing over and over. Why don't they have a killer live, Let the killer win. This is the killer's movie.
Maybe you have the killer win and then maybe have a whole group trying to hunt down that killer in the next movie. I think that could be for an interesting plot line.
Yeah, we'll see, There's going to be maybe 10 Screams. Come on.
Number 8.
Moving on to number 8, this cannot be a top 10 list without adding an MCU movie to it. So at our number 8 spot, Spider-Man: No Way Home. The third installment in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies picks up right after the cliffhanging ending from Spider-Man: Far From Home, where Mysterio reveals to the world that Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker. His life is immediately ruined as a false video is put out of him ordering drones to attack London, England. He speaks to Doctor Strange about getting him to cast a spell for the whole world to forget who he is. The spell backfires and makes villains from other universes appear, and spoiler alert, leads to his aunt's death.
There we go. Yeah, it's crazy movie. I think my favorite thing about the movie is the fact that they were able to successfully execute bringing back Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, all and their villains from their movies into this one just I don't want to say the word. Masterpiece. I was gonna swear. But yeah, I love how they brought all of that, and now it's basically the introduction to the multiverse, isn't it?
It felt like it was the first time we really got a good introduction to the multiverse. I know Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness came out a bit after, but this one, it was really satisfying to get to see characters that didn't get the endings they deserved, get somewhat new beginnings, and hopefully we can see them more often in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe Secret Wars, Kevin Feige, if you're listening.
Secret Wars, do good. Bring the X-Men, by the way.
Yeah.
Also,
Hugh Jackman as well.
Yeah. What I am very curious about after Spider-Man: No Way Home is how are they going to keep Peter Parker in this world where nobody knows him anymore, How is that going to work with the Avengers and all the other MCU titles?
I actually have a few ideas about that, and I've thought about this for some time. I kind of want to see another Harry Osborn.
That would be nice.
Maybe Spider-Man goes to school and no one knows who he is, and he goes to university with Harry Osborn, and then played by Timothée Chalamet, because I think Timothée Chalamet could pull that role off. And then maybe it might sound like a bit of a reach, but Matthew McConaughey as a Norman Osborn.
That would be good. You have a great cast going on right now
For Spider-Man 4, and then you just have some of the villains from that movie just recasted, and then you just tell a story where no one knows who Peter Parker really is, and He's out really fending for himself.
Also, Aunt May is dead. What does he do now?
Did you see that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2 deleted scene with his father?
Yeah, I only saw that as of recently. Honestly, I am personally a fan of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I don't know who's your favorite Spider-Man.
Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, then Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, that's a good list. That's a great list.
Number 7.
At number 7, we have Megan. The horror genre has so many cult classic characters, from Ghostface to Jason Voorhees to all the creepy dolls like Chucky, Annabelle, and now Megan, who is presumably the first Gen Z horror icon. The character trended worldwide even before the movie's release, with millions of people dressing like the doll and copying her dance moves from the trailer. When 8-year-old Katie, played by Violet McGraw, loses both her parents in a car accident, she's taken in by her Aunt Gemma, the brilliant roboticist toy maker, played by Allison Williams, who is creating an AI-powered prototype robot for work named Megan, designed to answer a child's companion needs. It doesn't take long for Megan to go off the rails on a murder spree, thinking that's the only solution to make sure Katie is safe, and it's up to Gemma to stop her Frankenstein creation. Now, though Megan was PG-13, do you still think it executed as a very iconic horror movie?
I think so, because it kind of combines Chucky and Terminator, from what I understand so far, into one movie.
Yeah, I would say that. A nice little AI Frankenstein, you know? That brutally murders you in the weirdest ways possible. Katie gets bit by a dog, by the neighbor's dog. So what does Megan do? Hey, let's go kill the owner with a pressure washer. That'll fix the situation. This kid bullied Katie at a park. Hey, I got an idea. Let's rip his ear off. This is kind of crazy. It makes you it gives you this fear factor of oh crap, AI is robots are taking over. What the hell? And also, my favorite part of the movie has to go to the dance. Having a random dance scene about to kill a guy with a paper cutter, it really speaks to the soul.
That dance scene, it just so randomly weird, because it's in a hotel hallway, and then you see an artificial intelligence doll just dancing and then chases you down to kill you. I'd run like hell like that guy there. That is crazy.
Also, rumor has it that Kevin in production is going to come in and do the Megan dance, so stay tuned for that, folks.
Oh, that should be good. Kevin, let's see it. See your moves.
Cause oh, we will go. New primary user now. Me.
I really do think that this movie does have a good future to have so many other sequels. Even though Megan died in the movie, I think that the way they programmed this little AI is that Megan can transfer herself into another doll. So there's a lot of potential for this movie.
Similar to Terminator, with along those lines, where they bring back maybe another doll.
Yeah, literally, just like that. Love it.
Number 6.
Yeah, at number 6, we have Avatar: The Way of Water, the sequel to the 2009 film Avatar, written and directed by science fiction legend James Cameron. This movie takes us back to the planet of Pandora after we were there 13 years ago, and we see the characters we fell in love with, Jake Sully, Neytiri, and so many more. These characters have grown since we first saw them on the big screen, and the sequel builds off the amazing world building we received in the first movie, and we explore the water tribes in this movie, and we see so many revolutionary creatures in the water, where this movie is primarily set. The movie primarily deals with the humans returning to Pandora after the planet Earth is becoming uninhabitable, and Jake Sully has to protect his family from the threat his people are facing.
That's a great movie too. If you haven't seen it yet, I feel like you're the only person that hasn't seen it, My favorite thing, honestly, the movie is just a masterpiece of CGI, and I can't get over that. And especially the first Avatar movie came out over a decade?
Yeah, more than a decade.
Yeah.
He was literally waiting for the technology to be available to make the sequel, James Cameron.
I do not have that kind of patience at all. But what amazes me the most is that this movie has had a decade's worth of hype, and it hasn't died down at all. And it really shows, because when you look at the box office, what's that word?
Numbers?
Yeah, you look at the box office numbers. This movie dominated the box office. It's the third most.
First Avatar, Avengers Endgame, then Avatar: The Way of Water.
Nice. Nice. Avatar 3 is going to be at that number 1 watch. We'll see. Tell me, what was your favorite scene throughout that movie?
My favorite, I can't list it down to one favorite scene in particular, but like my favorite part of the movie was the humans returning to Pandora. At least the bad ones are returning because Earth was becoming uninhabitable, and I think it goes to show the lesson on climate change. And also, James Cameron, being a climate change activist, is trying to tell us a message that we have to treat our planet respectfully, or if not, it's going to become uninhabitable. And if we go somewhere else where other life exists, we're not going to be welcome there.
But are people really going to listen to that metaphor? No. But we can dream.
We can dream, yeah, but
Avatar 3 maybe will convince people. You
yeah,
know?
but
Who knows?
I don't know what you thought of Kate Winslet learning how to breathe for underwater for 7 minutes, which wouldn't be the first time James Cameron tried to drown Kate Winslet, but because he also did try to do it in Titanic and he failed. And
Oh yeah, that is true. He's very like, you know, he takes a lot of risks, and it always benefits him. You know, that's what I like. When he makes his movies, he takes risks. He'll make it like 10 hours, and you'll still watch it.
Number 5.
Hitting our halfway point at number 5 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the first Asian-led MCU movie and the first origin movie of Phase 4. So you don't have to worry about knowing like every overwhelming detail of the previous 24 movies, unless you're curious why Wong shows up, you know, but Wong is in every movie. So the movie introduces Sean, played by Simu Liu, your typical millennial slacker working a valet job with his best friend Katie, played by Awkwafina. He carries a secret of having a master martial artist mother from an alternate dimension who died when he was a child, and a conqueror of a father with 10 mystical armbands and a secret ninja army that soon hunts him down after he receives a cryptic message that lures him into a family reunion with his younger sister, Jialing, who owns an underground fight club. The siblings and Katie must then find a way to their mother's secret village to stop their corrupted father, who thinks he's rescuing his late wife, but is actually unleashing a dark being.
yeah, like this movie, I just want to touch on the fight scenes because I feel like the choreography in this movie, it probably is the best in the entire MCU. Like the martial arts.
Yeah, the fighting scenes in this almost felt like a very like beautiful dance, especially with Shang-Chi's parents when they first meet, when it shows that scene. Just the beauty of the mother's forest and the outfits and just the fight scene in general. Like the shots that this movie had was so like astonishing. Like it had me like overwhelmed through the entire movie. It was so good.
You literally read my mind, Tanner. I was gonna say the exact same thing that you said, and also Simu Liu, especially that bus scene, like that looked like a dance as well.
Yeah, that was insane. Like anytime there was a fight scene, it was always like something over the top. Like imagine having a fight scene on the construction part on the side of a building and you're just flying down floors each time. Like that's insane. I don't know how they managed to do that, but that's like all the fight scenes in this movie really did make the movie what it is. And I think it has such a huge future for Shang-Chi.
I have an underrated fight scene that I want to touch on. One of my favorite fight scenes in the movie was Wong fighting with Abomination in that underground fight ring.
Yeah. Also, yeah, Abomination's in this too. Like, and for what?
And he looks much better than he did in the original 2009 Hulk movie, something that Marvel's trying to destroy any evidence of. But we can say he looks better than that.
We love a good glow up.
Yeah, good
Also,
glow up. Yeah.
I have a question. At the end of the movie, you see the younger sister, Jialing, become the leader of the Ten Rings army. Now, I don't know about you, but what I saw in her eyes and her face and her facial expression is that she's not really going to be a hero. She looks like she's going to go down more on like that like eviler path, maybe anti-hero path. What are your thoughts?
I have a feeling she might be a hero. I'm going to be honest. I know we're not going to agree on this, but I have the feeling it's going to be more of a heroic thing when she's going to try to change what they fight for and try to fight more criminals, which is what the Ten Rings typically does.
Yeah. Regardless, I'm still very excited to see what she can bring in future installments.
Number 4.
At our number 4 spot, we have to talk about the movie Prey. It's been decades since the classic movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger was released in 1987. There have been many sequels made with the purpose of trying to recapture the themes of this classic, but none of them doing the way 2022's Prey does. This film is the first of 4 movies set in 1719 and follows our lead heroine Naru, portrayed by Amber Midthunder. Naru is on a mission throughout this story to prove herself as a cunning warrior to her tribe on her mission to eventually encounter the Predator, and has to revert back to the franchise signature move, which is covering herself in mud in creating self-deploying traps to kill the sci-fi classic villain.
Nice. Now, what I love about this movie, I mean, obviously, you can see I'm a very brown looking man, is that I love the indigenous representation in this movie, and it just made me feel like, wow, like my people are in a movie. And it's like actual like accuracy, the way they portrayed indigenous peoples in a very like prequel, like, you know, long time ago, time of whatever, is that they represented indigenous people correct for something that's a very fictional movie, you know? I like that this predator in this movie is very more like feral, you know? Like he's a hunter. He hunts you like more naturally, I guess you could say, compared to the other movies.
Yeah, like especially that bear at the beginning when he was hunting that bear. We just saw the bear running into something, and then you just see blades go through it. The bear camouflaged in with the environment, and then just killed that bear pretty naturally.
I always forget that this movie is kind of like, you know, kind of a scary movie at some parts because it has such amazing story and amazing lore, and the way you get to see the characters grow is so amazing. Then next thing you know, you have like these like horror scenes, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a horror movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Like, it's a horror movie, but I think it does everything better than the sequels. Like, don't ever remind me of the Alien vs. Predator movies or any of the other sequels.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Number 3.
Now you're probably wondering why a Shrek spinoff is on this list in 2023, let alone at our number 3 spot. But for those who have seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish will know how great this movie actually is. Puss in Boots is down to his last of his 9 lives and is now on the run from the big bad wolf, who is essentially the Grim Reaper. So if you're a little kid wanting to watch this movie, just be careful, because like this guy is like legitimately scary. With those like beady red eyes and the eerie whistling, you know? It's legitimately terrifying. So after faking his own death, Puss finds shelter at a crazy cat lady's house where he meets a scruffy crazy chihuahua pretending to be a cat to blend in. The unexpected duo then search for this mystical wishing star so Puss can restore his 9 lives, you know? So my favorite thing about this movie is that they took a new direction with just the animation itself. Like, you've seen the other Puss in Boots movies, you've seen Shrek, you know how the animation is, right?
Yeah.
It's very like playing it safe, going with the original like Disney Pixar kind of animations. But Puss in Boots: The Last Wish changed it up with their animation to fit like today's like I don't know. I don't throw that part in there, actually. I'm so sorry. The animation has changed, and it's a risky move, but it was a good move, you know?
Yeah. The thing I like especially about animation is there's so much creative options that gives the animators and directors to what to work with.
Yeah. Also, the big bad wolf in this movie is terrifying. Like, I genuinely was like having goosebumps. I was terrified. It's that music that they use throughout the movie. Like, audio does a whole lot for a movie, and I think audio really stole the show with this, because just whenever you see that wolf, you do get scared. You, like, your arm hairs are going up, you're scared, you're nervous. It's crazy.
I find music is such an underrated part of cinema, because I find when like literally just playing different tracks of music can change the entire scene and how you view it. Like if it's like if it's an upbeat music, like you can think, okay, and the big bad wolf is approaching, you think, okay, this wolf's a good guy. But if it's like scary, you know the wolf is bad and is trying to kill you.
Also, I like the fact that they actually took, like, you know, this is the cat. He has 9 lives. He's died 8 times. You know, I like that they're actually like, oh shit. Oh shit. He's down to his last life. What does he do? And also, I think another thing that really stole this show is the little chihuahua, Perito, you know? It was quite annoying at first, but I think you really see the emotion in these animated characters just by the moment Puss in Boots has a panic attack, and you can just see how relaxed he gets just by the comfort of that little tiny chihuahua. You know, it really warms your heart. It really tugged the heartstrings there.
I agree.
Really great scene.
Number 2.
Coming in at our number 2 spot, this Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Continuing our Black Panther series without Chadwick Boseman was definitely concerning, but the tribute that Wakanda Forever placed in Boseman and the powerful performances from the cast brings together an amazing movie and an interesting future for the MCU newcomers like Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, and the highly anticipated Namor, ruler of the underwater city Takolan. Yeah, and after the King T'Challa, what we see is the struggle that Shuri faces in filling her older brother's shoes as the Black Panther deals with the threat that Namor and the underwater army presents to the kingdom of Wakanda. Namor villainizes himself with a grudge into the colonialism his people have faced 500 years ago. And it's up to Shuri to show him that this is not the way to be, but Namor is not going down without a fight.
Yeah, I like how Namor's character is portrayed in this, because you really don't know whether or not, okay, this in the comics this guy's a hero, but in the movie he seems very villainish. But I don't want to classify him as a villain. I think he has a good idea. He has a good idea of wanting to keep his place safe, but the execution is just not there. You're not like, what's the point of going after the surface land?
Yeah, I mean, I understand like his people have been threatened, but I find that's the one thing that the Black Panther writers have done so well is making likable villains and villains that you can relate to. For example, in the first movie, you have Killmonger, who is very relatable, and he wanted to fight for the right things, but he just didn't do it in the right way, and he killed so many people along those ways.
I think we're seeing a lot of anti-heroes. It's not necessarily villains you see in the MCU lately. You see a lot of anti-heroes. You look at Wanda now, who was a hero before, but now it's like you see this direction that she's not really a hero anymore. And I think you see that in Namor right off the bat, is that, you know, the man hasn't been in the surface world since colonization hit like centuries ago. So he's coming back up with that intention, like, hey, my land on the surface got colonized and ruined and we had to live underwater. Now we're back and it's the same, so we're killing everyone. You know, not really the same.
And now that you mentioned Wanda, it does bring something interesting out, in my opinion, like the mutants especially. Like Namor is likely a mutant and Wanda's likely a mutant.
My favorite part of the movie, the whole entire movie, was just a simple part where Namor just said, I was a mutant. My favorite part. I'm just an X-Men fan, I'm sorry. But that truly was like, yes, we're getting mutants sooner than later.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I want to point out is the amount of like the powerhouse performances by Angela Bassett's character, Queen Ramonda, was like insane. Like throughout the movie, what was your favorite part in general?
Favorite part in general, I really liked the struggle that Shuri had to face and having to go back to the first movie where they go back to the mountain tribes for help, especially with M'Baku, who's probably one of my favorite characters in the Black Panther movies. I think going back to him and getting his army to help fight off Namor and all of them was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, definitely my favorite part would have to be Queen Ramonda bringing in all these like intruders to the government meeting. That was just a badass moment, you know?
Yeah. And before we get to our number one movie, we have an honorable mention for the upcoming movie, Cocaine Bear. The title explains itself. A bear does cocaine and goes on a murderous rampage, and it doesn't get any better than that. Also, it's supposedly based off the true story. And if this movie had come out before, we would have easily put it at our number one spot, but since it's not, at least deserves an honorable mention.
Yeah. So you said this is based on a true story. What is that true story? How do you make a movie of a bear that does cocaine? You know, how do you make that interesting? I mean, bears doing cocaine is very interesting, but how do you make that 2 hours-ish worth of interesting?
Yeah, like I'm gonna just touch on the true story quickly, long story short. So there's a hunter in the forest, and then there's a plane that flies by with the door partially open, and a thing of cocaine accidentally falls down. The bear's curious, starts whacking it, and then a bunch of white powder comes up and it starts the cocaine, and then the hunter's trying to keep its distance, doesn't want to startle the bear because he knows he's probably gonna get killed, but the bear just does that cocaine, and then his heart rate goes up crazy, and he starts jumping on trees, running around like crazy. And then all that stuff in the bear in real life, eventually, long story short, it dies. But in the movie, they change the events so that the bear doesn't instantly die, and they make it more of a comedy. But I find that this movie, I just can't wait to see exactly what happens, because it'll kill me with laughter.
Yeah, I really cannot wait to see this movie. And, you know, like we said, if this movie hadn't come out yet, or if this movie had come out, it easily would have been the number one spot. But since it's not, let's go to our number one.
Number one.
Finally, at our number 1 of the best movies of the 2020 so far goes to Everything Everywhere All at Once. When an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, Evelyn Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh, must channel her newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse, as the fate of the world hangs in the balance. The movie is a visual explosion with metaphors, and the bagel and the googly eyes are the most central and most important in explaining the theme of the movie, which is to choose kindness, especially when life is tough. Now, this movie is the reason why, honestly, I'm saying this movie is number 1 is because the rewatch factor on this movie is so insane. You can watch this movie so many times and you'll still see something new in it. You're like, wow, I didn't see that part, or wow, I didn't know that part made sense, or I didn't know this part meant this. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the movie?
I mean, I saw it once. I thought it was an amazing movie, and it was a very well told story, especially when it comes to the multiverse, about how your choices can impact the multiverse, and how what different choices can do to different versions of yourself. For example, like we saw Evelyn travel to different verses, and she saw different versions of herself, which makes me want to travel to the multiverse and want to see different versions of myself.
Yeah. Also, I really think that they did the multiverse like perfect. You know, it's very risky when you're playing with the multiverse, but like for them to make a very good like rundown of a multiverse movie was just pure excellence. And also another thing, this movie has won, I think, the most awards for a movie, like the most awarded movie out there right now.
It is, yes.
So obviously this has to be number 1, right? Come on.
Yeah.
But I think what I like about this movie is that you really do have to like deep watch and realize that like this movie's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, when you know when you're living in a world of everything meaningless everywhere all at once, you gotta find your own meaning. You know, I don't know, it is so hard to explain this movie. You just have to go see it yourself and create your own like, this is what the movie's about, because everyone says something a little different. Don't take our opinions. Don't take our opinions or review on this movie. You have to go see it yourself. Watch it once, watch it twice, you know?
Yeah, and it's very rare that the Hollywood Academy fully agrees on anything. And the Hollywood Academy agreed that this was such a good movie. You have Jamie Lee Curtis winning her first ever Oscar. Remember Shorty from the Temple of Doom? What a comeback story it's been for him to come back and win a supporting Oscar. And then you have Michelle Yeoh as well, and then Best Director. It's just amazing like how many Oscars this movie won, and the performance from everyone is just remarkable.
Yeah. I think my favorite scene from the movie too is just the randomest scene. It was when when Evelyn had the hot dog fingers almost, the very long fingers. Like edit that on my fingers. Like I don't know, but this movie was truly insane. It definitely deserves a number 1 spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of the bagels, like the time bagels and all that?
That I really like. When I saw the bagels, I'm like, this is the stupidest movie ever. But then throughout the movie, I'm like, the bagels. Oh my god, that's what it means everything. I don't know. The googly eyes, like everything just seems so like childish, but really everything had such a deep meaning behind it. And you're like, wait, why is that googly eye on her forehead? You know?
Yeah, and especially I remember there was that one scene earlier on in the movie that I found pretty funny, was when they turned that police officer into a clown.
Yeah. Oh my god. So that wraps up our top 10 best movies of the 2020 so far. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you agreed with our list. And if you didn't, what's your list? Let us know down below. This is a YouTube video now, right? Let us know down below. Don't forget.
Stay tuned. We have a review coming up next week.
Yeah, rumor has it we're reviewing more MCU titles. You know, She-Hulk,
Hawkeye, Moon Knight.
You know, the 3 very controversial series that we can discuss, and we're here to discuss about it. So tune in next week.
And don't have a good night. Have a great night.